Well, for myself, being a third generation diva, I think I can do whatever I want. So, and I prefer to just go out there and just kind of, feel the energy of the environment, depending on what situation I'm in, what the circumstances are, and just kind of, let the atmosphere set the, tone for my attitude per se. But I can do, as I said, I'm third generation. I can basically do whatever I need to do, get the job done. Well, for me, there are actually now, a lot more third generation, second generation superstars. But for me, it's special, and it feels really special because I'm the first third generation diva in WWE history. So it's history in the making. It's groundbreaking. I'm the first female of the Hart family to kind of tread these waters, and although I do have very big boots to fill, I feel like I can kind of step outside those boots and kind of pave my own way and kind of, blaze my own trail, so to speak. So I don't know, it's empowering, but I feel like I've got the tools, I've got the resources, and I'm ready to go. So I'm ready for the challenge. Well, I'm the only female in my family that actually wrestles. So I was trained in the dungeon, and actually my whole family, they're very supportive of me, but my father, ironically, really didn't want me getting involved in sports entertainment because he felt like, this industry was not, a place for women, and he tried to really shelter us and protect us from it. And we secretly, growing up as kids, would always watch my dad and my uncles and the Rockers on TV. I had a big crush actually on the Rockers. My little sister and I both had crushes on them. But we love this industry, and I've been raised around it, and surrounded by it my whole life. But my family is very supportive now. My dad's kind of like my biggest cheerleader, but at the same time, it wasn't always, it wasn't my game plan from day one, because a diva didn't exist 20 years ago. But now that we've kind of embraced the role, I'm just rolling with the punches. Well, being a diva and being involved in sports entertainment, again, I've been surrounded by it my whole entire life, but and I love every aspect of it. There's not a day that goes by in my family that we don't talk about wrestling or the dungeon or, submission holds or, whatever, everything that involves this industry. But for me, it really has evolved. It's kind of like runners say they get that runner's high. Well, when I'm in the ring and doing my thing and just, embracing my divahood, I guess you could say, it's just kind of taken off for me. And it's kind of, like I said, evolved, taken on a life of its own. Well, it depends. Like, that's the beauty of sports entertainment, especially when it varies country to country. And for me, I didn't, get hired as a diva right off the bat with no, prior experience. Like, I had wrestled in England and Ireland and Germany and Japan and all over North America before I became a WWE diva. So that's the beauty of it, is kind of embracing what each country and each, every group of fans in every different arena are different. So it's kind of nice because you can adapt, and you should always grow and change and want to, evolve. And the beauty of what we do is I have things I learned in Japan from the Japanese women and even Japanese men, that I have a little flavor. I have a hybrid style that I feel very fortunate to have because I traveled around the world before I came here, and I have more, I guess I have more tricks up my sleeve in case Kelly wants to pull my hair. Well, before I ever got to WWE, there was always that preconceived notion that, the divas are just, swimsuit models, or they don't have to work hard, or, and maybe, maybe I've been guilty of that myself, of thinking that, well, I'm a wrestler, I went to Japan, and, I, wrestled this crazy style, but being a diva in WWE, I've realized that it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. And it's not just about what we do in the ring. Not to mention having to wear, high heels and lip gloss and, go in there and do our thing, but it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And the girls, I've got to give them credit. All the divas, they work very, very hard. And you look at girls that have been coming back from injuries, like Candice Michelle. She goes out there and takes a lot of courage to do what we do. People don't realize how difficult this is and how much athleticism is involved in doing this. There's nothing, for me, it's very, very real. Well, that's a very good question. I could see you being a reporter when you get older. For me, I mean, I've always been, very athletic and very theatrical, and I have a lot of my dad's, I don't know, his good sides, I guess you could say, his good, better personality traits, and I think that, I've always been kind of the ham. I've been very athletic, and I was involved in dance and gymnastics, and I did amateur wrestling in high school, and then my uncles asked me to start training with them, and like I said, it just sort of took on a life of its own for me, and it's not something I really just said one day, this is what I want to do. It just evolved, and it kind of became like something I couldn't stop. It was just an uncontrollable force for me to be. It's the way I feel when I'm doing it. It's that feeling of empowerment, and I don't know, just facing your fears, and it's a real rush every time I get in the ring, and it's like it's taken on a life of its own. But it's I don't know, I wouldn't trade it for anything, and I'm glad that I've chosen to do it. But it's just it's really evolved for me. So. Well, let me clarify though. Trish and I may be Canadian, but Trish isn't 3G. So, I feel pressure all the time. Pressure for not just being Canadian, but pressure, not just being part of the Hart family, but I feel pressure to deliver and to be excellent for myself. And I think that because I've trained in the dungeon, because I've gone to Japan and England and trained extensively in WWE, the work doesn't stop just because we get here. And we work hard every single day, and it's constant. We're always growing. But I think that if you do your homework and we have more than enough tools around us to kind of help us, exceed our own expectations. So for me, I feel like, I'm not afraid of hard work, and I'm not afraid of facing my fears and touching my dreams. And I think that's really part of being a diva, and being Canadian really just kind of, it's a nice little cherry on the cake, but it's not, for me there's just so much pressure all the time, but it's a matter of how you want to channel that energy, and for me, I'm just ready to face it head on and just, go for it. And I hope that I can, it's cool to be compared to Trish, and I have nothing but respect for Trish, but at the same time, I'm blazing my own trail and kind of making my own history. So that to me is the most rewarding. Well, for me, my first match in the WWE was against Cherry, and it was, I don't know, it's just, there was a lot building up to me, getting here, and I always knew that I wanted to be in WWE. I just didn't know how I could, sometimes like Jeff was saying, it's hard because it's not easy to get to this stage. There's so much, there's such a breakdown of each individual, superstar and diva before they get here that, you have all these fears going through your mind, and you're excited, and, everything was racing for me a million miles an hour, but, wrestling, debuting and having that match against Cherry just, I don't know, it was almost surreal, and it just, I felt like I was able to kind of really let the fans see who Natalya was, and it was a very emotional night for me because, again, it took me over half a decade to actually get that opportunity and to perform in a WWE ring, so it was very special.